How's it, Stashes? My name is Dr. Jacob Seidnote. This is Stashy. Now, it might not be very noticeable, but here at the Historian Stash, we associate closely with facial hair.
You probably think because of the beard that I'm really hairy.
Stashy already has a duck caterpillar on the top lip, and I've decided to grow a full regal mane on my face.
There it is! It's beautiful! Take your hat off, boy!
I'm quite digging my beard venture, and as an historian, I'm keen to know about the great ones who have donned the facial hair before me. I want to know if a beard carries with it some magical power, and whether I'm destined to follow in the footsteps of giants.
If they ever tell my story, let them say I walked with giants.
Therefore, I have decided to dedicate a mini segment on like-minded, whiskered figures of the past, called Dr. Bez's Bearded Boets of History. Now, in seeking out my first Bartbeck, I traversed the historical record in search of one worthy enough to be the first bearded Boet.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
There were obviously some strong competition, namely Genghis Khan, Charles Darwin, Karl Marx, and Gandalf.
Shall not pass!
But I eventually settled on none other than the original bearded badass of the high seas, man. Edward Teach.
Who?
Also known as Blackbeard.
Yeah, man, you didn't know that?
Little is known of Edward Teach before he became the legendary pirate. It's said that Old Eddie began his life at sea as a British privateer in the War of Spanish Succession from 1701 to 1713. Here, he would have legally looted Spanish ships in the West Indies on behalf of the British government. After the war, he was tutored in the dark arts of piracy by a Captain Benjamin Hornigold. Rising through the ranks due to his naval skill, Eddie soon became a captain in his own right. He learned that he could inspire fear if he grew some facial hair. So he grew a miniere of a beard that reached his waist and lit fuses in his long hair just to crank his crazy meter up to 11.
We need that extra push over the cliff. You know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly.
I mean, just look at that beard. That is some crazy, crazy stuff. And then you got the eyes and the smoke coming from the... Man, it's coming. that is some beard. That is some luscious locks right there. Oh my word. That's vicious. Oh, that's a royal beard right there. I mean, in the most piratey way, that's a big beard. And black. It's Blackbeard. The legend of Blackbeard grew rapidly like his luscious facial locks. Fact and fiction blended into one. There were rumors that he tortured prisoners and would even turn on his own crew with no warning. This added to the image of terror and strengthened his position with both his crew and enemies. Another technique he employed to boost his street cred was the design of his flag. The flag depicted a skeleton stabbing a heart with its spear and toasting the devil with a glass in the other hand. That's pretty badass, and that's exactly what Blackbeard wanted. One day, he decided to blockade the port of Charlestown in the then British colony of South Carolina with his motley flotilla of pirate ships. Over the course of a week, 9 vessels were stopped and plundered as they attempted to sail out of the harbor. He took many prisoners as a result, but also many casualties. So he requested medical supplies. He demanded that these be delivered by the authorities, or else he would behead the prisoners and burn their ships. While they waited, 2 of Blackbeard's men and a prisoner went into town. But when they didn't return, he moved his ships into the harbor, causing mass panic and looting. This convinced the authorities that he was serious, and they delivered the supplies. By 1718, Blackbeard was the most wanted pirate of the 7 seas. The British were keen to save face, and so they assembled a pirate hunting force to catch him. They tracked him to his main base of operations on Ocracoke Island, just off the coast of North Carolina. Ocracoke. But old Blackie had spotted the pirate hunters from a long way off, and instead of fleeing, he cut the anchor of his ship and attacked them head on, destroying a third of the force in a matter of seconds. Once the ships were in reach, the pirates threw their grappling hooks as well as smoke and explosive grenades. Blackbeard was about to bathe that glorious beard in expensive looted champagne, when suddenly the bulk of the pirate hunting force emerged from below the decks of the ships, overwhelming him and his men. A hell of a battle followed, and Blackie was eventually killed, having been shot at least 5 times while being slashed and stabbed over 20 times. The head of Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard, was then hung from the mast of one of the British naval vessels. I guess that would teach him for getting ahead of himself.
You'll never be the head of a major corporation.
Okay, that'll do.
Okay.
Mooi beard though.